We're good.
You're live and recording.
All right, folks, let's get started. Thank you. Welcome. We'll get going.
Okay.
So before we begin, just to remind you that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the Township's YouTube channel. I'm not sure if we've got anybody. Oh, we do have maybe some stuff joining us by Zoom, perhaps. But Zoom is there, and from the council chamber, so of course raise your hand if you'd like to speak on a matter. Now calling the roll, Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Present.
Councillor Watt.
Present.
Councillor Report.
Present.
And Councillor Johnston has sent regrets, and of course myself, Heather Watson. And on the other side, we have our acting clerk, Martina Chait-Hartwig. Good morning. CAO, Lana Arthurs. Interim Treasurer, Paul Kramers. Manager of Public Works, Jake Condon. And Fire Chief Pedersen, hello. And I don't think we have anybody on staff joining on the Zoom. Fantastic. So I will now read the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Michi-Sagig Initiative. We offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. And if I could just hold for a moment, please, for a moment of silence. Okay, moving on, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing nothing, could I please get a motion to adopt the agenda today? Councillor Vervoort, seconded by Councillor Watt, all in favor, and that carries. So this special meeting is really just a continuation from our council meeting on Tuesday. And we're going to pick it up under other business, staff reports, budget conversations, where we left off on Tuesday. Councillor Watt?
I was mostly finished mine, yes. We hadn't quite finished. But
okay, so did you want to pick it up from there?
if I may, I just have one more item on my list here at the moment. And I did send it over to Paul earlier in the week, so I just got a copy of it. So I'd like to discuss or even make the motion right now to maintain the current financial plan option 2 for the joint public works fire facility in the 2023 budget, and that's the cost to ratepayers. Staff come back with options in the future on splitting the project into phases, thus giving us time to pursue grants. Staff begin investigating possible future uses for Fire Station 4, and that staff investigate uses for the existing roads building after the new facility is built down the road.
Okay.
And that's the end of my whatever, but that's on my topic right now.
Okay. So you've got a motion. Is anybody?
I'll second it.
Councillor Vervoort will second that. So, comments, discussions. Silence. Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Can I read here the motion one more time? Can I hear the motion?
Madam Clerk, do you want to try that, or Councillor?
Councillor Watt can redo it as well.
Yep.
Okay, so maintain the current financial plan, which was option 2.
Yes.
In the, what that Paul sent over for the joint public works and fire facility, in the 2023 budget, cost to ratepayers and what it's going to be in the future. That staff come back with options on splitting the project into phases, giving us time to pursue grants, and that's options, like I say. They begin investigating possible future uses for Fire Station 4, and that they investigate uses for the existing roads building after the new facility is built.
Okay, I guess I can, I got some comments or questions on that. I guess for future use of the building, for the current building, we'll start there, of the old Public Works building.
Okay.
I think that was always in the plan, or I thought it was always in the plan for all of the township or all departments, parks, recreation, fire department, public works, to keep that building as a storage facility. And also we needed the the power there for to run our fuel system, and I believe our current fuel system, would continue. I don't think there's any thoughts there about taking the power out of the building in order for to have our power for our fuel. I assume maybe staff can enlighten me on that, I don't know.
Chief Benson.
Sure, I can speak to some of that to you, Mayor. Yeah, so the original idea was part of that project was to remove the current cold storage shed that's there now. So the drive shed would be gone. The new drive shed would be the old Public Works building. It'd be very difficult for us to try to, do any severance or something like that. That's what you're thinking about with that portion because of, we just put in new fuel stations there. We do need, there is some setbacks between buildings. That's why that drive shed can't be where it is, because the setbacks in the building code won't allow that building to be that close to the new building. So that was part of that plan, was to really make the existing Public Works facility the new cold storage building, that because we're going to be losing the drive shed. So I don't know if that helps clarify.
So I guess through you, Madam Mayor, so I guess that's still the plan from staff or that is still in the plan to keep that building and utilize the old Public Works building. I understand the shed needs to go because it's going to be in the way of the, obviously going to be in the way of the new building.
Right, yes, through you, Mayor, the plan is, the site plan is to keep that building there, get rid of the drive shed, and that has to do with the distances that you need between openings of buildings. So we can't even, I'm not the building guy, he's not here right now, but from going through this project, what we were told with the size of lot that we have, and the building being the size that it is, we can't actually even build another building on that parcel because there's not enough distances, spatial separation between the sand dome, the new building, and the existing Public Works that would become cold storage. So my understanding is that there's not enough space on that lot to even build another, another building like the drive shed somewhere else, because of the spatial separation issue. But if you want exact details on that, that would be our building guy, but that's just going through what we talked about with the site plan and trying to fit everything on it.
Thanks for that clarification, Chief.
Thanks, Chuck. Next question is on the grants, and I'm totally in favor of pursuing any grants if there is any grants out there. I'm not too optimistic that there is, but if there is, I'm certainly in favor of pursuing any money that is out there, and I'm certainly willing to hammer our upper tier governments to try and get some money for ourselves. In fact, I've already had a conversation with a couple of them, and I will continue hammering on trying to get some money from outside sources of other government, but I'm not too optimistic that that is going to come forward. I really ain't. But I also am not in favor of waiting any longer. This building and our needs need to get in motion and get going with the issues and health and safety issues that we're all aware of that is in that building, and our fire department buildings. We need to move forward with getting a proper facility to run our services. And so I'm in agreement with that, but I'm not in agreement for waiting, because we might be waiting for a long time. And that's my comments, I guess, towards that. Sorry, what was
The other one was the fire hall.
Yes,
Which is what use we could do.
which fire, oh, this one
Here.
Okay, right, sure, I'm in favor of, I think I'm in favor of your motion. I just needed some questions answered.
Yeah, and that's why we have this discussion.
No, that's great.
If I may through you, Madam Mayor,
Councilor?
just to get back to the council, or Deputy Mayor Nelson. Yeah, and that's what I put in there, like, just look at phases, like, whether we do the fire hall first, the roads one second, like split it into phases, and that's just an option. Come back and see if there is an option to do that, and it never hurts to ask and see if there is options to split it out, and if it's gonna be any beneficial, if it's not, if it's, and you don't have that crystal ball. I wish we did, but we don't, but that was my only thing in there, and that's why I put in there, options, not, we're gonna split it, I just want to see if there's any options on that, so that's why that keyword is in there.
So you, Madam Mayor, I feel that, and not to sound, and I get where you're coming from there, Councillor Watt. I feel that I worked with Chuck on this project, and I worked with the former fire chief on this project, so the project has been around for a long time, and a lot of work, background work went into it. Not only me and Chuck, but me and the former fire chief, and we looked at all of them options, and I don't mean that, I'm not saying that we don't need to maybe look at it again, but in looking at building a building, to split it 9 times out of 10, all of them costs keep incurring every year. You split it here, well, you end up paying for it in the long run. If we got a set of plans to go ahead and get a total building done, and I'm more in favor with going ahead, because the cost never ever come down. The cost generally goes up, and as soon as you split a project in two, not meaning anything by this, but sometimes your people that are helping you, your consultants that are helping you on the building, it's an opportunity for them to duplicate their costs towards the building. I know most times if it's all one project, that's the cost of what it is with them people. As soon as you split the project, it's an opportunity. Well, sorry, we've done that last year. We want more money now to duplicate and do another building 2 years down the road, or whatever that might be. So that's my comment.
There are 3 comments. The motion on the floor is really just for staff to bring forward options at this point in time, so I'm sure that's a discussion that we can have in due course once the time is right for that. Councillor Revere?
Through Madam Mayor, I believe you actually said exactly what I was about to say, so that's the reason why I seconded the motion, is that there's nothing firm in terms of we're breaking the project into 2 parts, but let's explore whatever options may exist. We've got a lot of things that we don't know about right now, which construction costs have gone through the roof, no pun intended, over the last couple of years. But we're also seeing construction starts falling as well due to interest rate increases. So a lot of external factors that we don't quite know. Typically, over the last 2 years, contractors have been, at least in the agricultural space, looking at 18 months, and now they're making phone calls to people saying, can we come in 3 months? So it tells me that the construction industry is seeing a bit of pressure. So does waiting a little bit work? Sometimes yes, it does. Sometimes no, it doesn't. And I think that's why this is a good option for staff, just to turn every stone over and see what's out there.
Councillor Watt,
One
final
last
comment?
comment, if I could please, through you, Madam Mayor, and it was just something that Chuck said. So the current storage building that's there now, it has to go, like size-wise of the lot, all that stuff has to go. So is that something we could maybe tender to, and I know this is kind of off topic, but tender to take it down? Somebody may have a use for that building to put it up on their property kind of thing, and we can make some money out of it, rather than just demolish it.
Chief?
Yes, through your mayor, that was part of the plan. It was already, there was some interest in that building for someone to take that and repurpose it. That was some years ago that was talked about, but I'm sure that could be an option. And just, well, I have the door open for 1 second, and I know we're going to bring options back, but just when you get in that splitting, in order to build a building, that drive shaft has to go away. So you'll actually have less space for public works until that second phase is done. So just something to keep it thought.
I'm good, so.
Okay, well, we have a motion on the floor that's been made and duly seconded. Shall we call the vote?
Please.
All in favor? That motion carries.
And that
Thank
was it
you.
for my,
That was it for your
yes, thank you
budgetary
very much.
conversations. Councilor Vervoort, you're looking like you have more to add. I know last night, Tuesday night, you had said that there was more. So the floor is yours.
Surprisingly. Nothing else at this point.
Nothing else at this point.
Thank you, Councilor. Maybe anything that you brought up or all?
No.
No, okay, all right, he just, like, I asked that this morning and he didn't have anything per se, whatever, but that never hurts to, sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, never hurts to ask if, you know, if he did talk to other councillors ahead of time, just with an option that he had or something you want to brought up.
Certainly. And I'll just throw it over to staff momentarily, not to put you on the spot, but were there any other questions from council that you received, specifically Councillor Johnson, as he's unfortunately not here this morning, but anything else on your end?
Through your worship, no, I didn't receive any specific questions from Councillor Johnson. I did want to just give a quick update because there was a few items I said I would update council on. So some of the roads projects that were recommended to spot treat, we did amend the budget. Jake provided the numbers. So for Center Dummer Road, so I don't have the initial cost in front of me, but we reduced it to $10,000 for spot graveling. And then 6 Line Dummer Road south of Webster Road, $5,000 for spot graveling. And then 6 Line north of Webster Road, $10,000 for spot graveling. So those are the updated costs that we still have in the budget in order to do, the spot graveling that was requested. But it is quite a bit. I think Center Dummer Road was 96,000, so it's 96 to 10. So there is, some big savings. I will also update that there were 2 Center Dummer Road projects, and at the last meeting when we were talking about, I thought we were talking about the surface treatment one, and that is the one that had gas tax applied to it. The gravel project that was actually being discussed was fully levy funded. So from a funding perspective, it reduces the levy from that 86,000 or so. So after all the changes at the last meeting, we are at a levy increase percentage point of 5.3%. I sent that out to council as an update yesterday. And that's including also, I confirmed the library to keep the hours at the exact same that was in last year's budget. It was 17, just slightly over 17,000. And I have provided the updated budget to the librarian, who has put it on the agenda for their board meeting next week. So they will have the complete updated budget, and yeah.
Easy peasy, just like that. Okay, so I believe that, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Who is sleeping on the job?
Deputy
Mayor Nelson, thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair.
So everywhere.
Thanks a lot for that, Paul, and for pulling that together so quickly for us and changing the numbers. I just I have a couple of comments on that. And dealing with the county budget as well. Me and Heather have been dealing with that at the same token. And if we look at that increase, I think it's 300 and just a little over 300,000 according to your chart. If we look at that and we look at the fuel costs alone, if we really want to take a look at it, we are really cutting the costs to the core at just the fuel costs alone for the run of this township. So that's a comment I want to make is just, and it's the same thing at the county level with the increase of fuel, just the cost alone at the county for running garbage trucks and running recycling trucks, I should say. That alone, I believe, was somewhere in the neighborhood of over $400,000. So that's when people actually see that and they see how much, well, they should recognize how much it's costing to put in their gas tank. It's definitely a huge cost that we have to bear. And if you look at, it's very frivolous. It's very not very much stuff added in there if you just take a look at that. That's my comments.
Thank you for that. Councilor Report, please have your hand up earlier.
Thank you. Question for our interim treasurer. I'm not completely up to speed on municipal accounting policies, so I apologize. It's kind of a question in terms of things that we have budgeted here that are coming from the levy. I was looking at 2021 and 2022 dollar amounts, and in many areas we actually came in below budget. So funds that have been collected through the levy that have been earmarked for those projects, when they didn't end up spending all of it, does that then get put into reserves at that point?
Through your worship. Definitely, we don't have a formal surplus policy. It's something on my future to-do list. But the surplus policy will likely kind of combine with our reserve and reserve fund policy. But the past practice has been to essentially put any surpluses into our capital reserves. My goal will be to be a little bit more strategic with what reserves it goes in. You know, each reserve will have a targeted balance. If we're below that targeted balance, we'll use the surplus to pull it up to that target. And then anything left will kind of go into the main capital replacement reserve. But yes, and so we will have a better idea on those numbers and those entries coming in the next coming months, which I think will align well with all of the things that we're going to be doing looking forward and all of our analysis on our reserve.
Thank you. Question?
Through you, Madam Mayor, if I can just add to that, just with regards to some items that potentially don't get purchased. So you may see in 2021, 2022, there were certain things that were budgeted for that didn't happen. And some of those we will come forward and ask for that to be carried forward as opposed to putting it into reserves and asking for it again from the taxpayer in the subsequent year. So there are certain things that we decided not to move forward with that will go in the surplus, but larger items that we didn't get a chance to purchase, you will see reports come forward that ask for a carryover.
And just to follow up, I guess kind of the line items I'm looking at typically, this is based on a lot of conversations with constituents, of course, is that our roads budget, just looking in there in terms of wages and product purchases in the past couple of years, those have been less than budgeted, and those are the ongoing from the operating budget. So that was kind of the surplus that I was looking at more so than other areas. So as long as, in my opinion, and based on a lot of the discussions I had, if our roads budget is, if our actuals come in lower than our budget on roads, if we can earmark those funds to reserve fund specifically for roads, that may open up some cash for, dare I say, some surface treatment in the future on the most populated roads in the township. Understanding, of course, that that's a longer term project, but also some longer term benefits too.
And I think, and perhaps Jake, you can comment on this from an operating budget perspective. If, say, winter control is under budget one year, that does roll into winter control reserves for the following year because we can't, those are unpredictable factors, right? We generally kind of put those away for a rainy or snowy day as well.
Through you, Mayor, yes, so say our snow plowing or sanding salting budget, we may, depending on winter we have, we may, use most of that budget one year. The next year we may be well under or significantly under. It's just due to the weather, so we can't, we try to budget appropriately, but we need to have enough there to, just in case it is a bad winter or yeah, if there's more, sometimes there's more sanding than snow plowing, and you use more of your sanding and salting budget than you do your snow plowing budget, but it's kind of hard to predict.
Yeah.
Through your worship, Councilor Report. One of the other, couple of budget challenges sometimes when we're doing these budgets and then looking at actuals is we budget for, especially when we're doing staffing, we're budgeting for the complete complement who are going to be here all year. The second you get anyone who leaves and you have any gapping, that can create some under in budget. And think everyone who does, I know at least from municipal budgets, based on my experience, it's something that we grapple with, because it's hard to say that people you're going to incur that gapping. Now, I think typically we do, but we don't know where it's going to occur. I think a lot of times in an ideal world, we do have everyone here all year, and we do have that full complement. I know that there have been some challenges, especially in public works over the last few years, of having a full complement, and that's some of the results of what you're seeing in those numbers. Sometimes though, I don't mind knowing that we're going to have some surplus, that is sometimes our built-in cushion for some transfers to reserves at the end of the year, which can help with future budgets. The only other variable, especially in terms of public works, we allocate some of our staffing costs to the capital projects. And so they can they aren't recorded as salaries and wages there because they're getting recorded to the capital cost. And that's just a product of us completing some of our own capital projects. And sometimes we don't know the split when we're budgeting of exactly how much is going to be kind of spent where versus, operating versus those capital projects. So that can be a little bit of what you're seeing as well.
Councillor Watt and Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Through you, Madam Chair, thank you. First, just a comment. Well, you mentioned the library board meeting coming up, it's on Monday there, and I understand you're going to come to that, and thank you, because that made our complimentary people of the committee quite happy to get an update, what's going on, what's happening, and what's not. Second thing, and whether you can answer or whether Jay can answer, a few years back, council put a plan together to put some emergency money away every year into a fund that, if we did overrun on the sanding because it was a crazy icy year, if the snow plowing over there, do we still do that every year, put so much money into that reserve to cover those rainy days? And we do have one more after that.
Through your worship, Councillor Watt, we do not have a dedicated contribution to those reserves. I don't think there's concern on the level of those reserves. I say my approach to the public works budget the last few years since I've come has been looking at kind of more overall budget, looking at it more departmentally and less kind of functions of if we're a little over in sanding and salt, we know we're under overall in their department. And so, I think I try to balance it a little bit more departmentally than by function and task.
Right, well, that's good. And my last thing, the chart that you sent us out here, the summary of our changes, it's down to 5.33%. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. And like Deputy Mayor Nelson said, getting that out was that quickly. It's very, very helpful and beneficial to us, and we appreciate it. When we do the final one for the people, and I'm sure you've already got this in, but anyway, just to be absolutely sure, like people see dollars. They don't see a percent, they see dollars, and we, for a long time, they have 5.33%. Absolutely, there it is right there. How much it is per 100,000 or per 256, which is the, kind of the standard or whatever no, that's perfect. Thank you very much. That's what people want to see. It's the dollar figure.
So, Paul, are you showing us your computer screen because you have that number?
Yeah, he's gonna, through your member, he's going to send it to me and I'll put it on the screen for everyone.
Great, thank you. Deputy Mayor Nelson, while we wait.
Actually, Councillor Watt, my question has been answered. It was over the reserve for the emergency fund for sanding, salting, and emergency. So you've answered that question, so thank you.
Any other? I feel like there's a big pause here. Are there any other questions or comments on the budget that's sitting here before us?
Through you, Madam Mayor, just a comment. I'm really impressed that we got it down to 9.3, and then I'm talking staff, so like and the concessions that we made and stuff like that. Coming down from 10, that's a big jump down, and it's I just hope that we're not cutting it too much, that we're going to run into trouble 3/4 way through the year. But I think we've been very thorough on what we've gone through, what we haven't. Staff help actually, looking after us and making sure that we're on the right track, so I do appreciate it to everyone. Thank you.
Seeing nothing there, I'll take a moment to comment as well on the process. Councillor Watt, you said, down from 10%, 9% to, 5.3. Really, this started as a 13-something% budget when it was first presented to council in its very preliminary draft form back in December. And quite frankly, I'm proud of the work that council has done and the diligence and thoughtfulness as it relates to the times that we're in. There's no mistaking that we are in very challenging times financially, economically, not as a municipality, but as a country with everything that's going on. And I personally feel that we have worked hard to get it to a point to be mindful of our residents, keeping in mind that median number that will be shared with us. The percentage really doesn't, it's important, it's an important number, but it's not really reflective of, what the taxpayer will see, what we'll see on the tax bills, also keeping in mind the county levy and education levies that are added to that number. So I hope that the takeaway for residents is that we have worked hard to really put forward a status quo budget, doing the things that we only need to do, while also being responsible and thinking forward to the future of our future needs and demands as it relates to maintaining our assets within the municipality. So thank you, council, and thank you, staff, for all of your work and ability to answer our questions and help work us through this process. So with that, I don't know if we require a motion at this point in time.
Did you want me to just put the numbers on the
Please.
screen? Sorry, it took a few moments to just get it all set up here.
That's true.
Drum roll.
Oh, no.
For some reason, our screen does not want to do the full share, which is really irritating.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, you can see the full thing, but for some reason on our screen, it doesn't feel like
It's got that much more.
sharing the numbers, yeah.
You can't read that?
No, not at all.
Your budget's got that much smaller.
I don't know what's
Shrunk the
happening,
budget.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Darn.
so perhaps you can read it out loud.
Yeah, you might have to.
What the impact is.
So, through your worship to all of council, a 5.33% change per 100,000 annually is $21.84, or $1.82 per month. For the median property of 256,000, that is $55.90 annually, or $4.66.
Thank you for that. And just to clarify, I know everybody at this table knows this, but that medium value of 256,000, that's based on the impact assessment. I'm talking like you folks don't know, but I know it's important to reiterate. I received my preliminary tax bill in the mail just last week, as I'm sure many residents did. And on that, it shows what the impact assessed value is. And I would hazard to guess that mine is about half of what the actual real estate value is in the grand scheme of things. So it's important to point that out, because when we say the median of 256, we all scoff and say, what house is worth $256,000? But it's not the worth, or the real estate worth, but it's the impact assessed value. And those numbers haven't been updated since 2016, I believe. And we don't know when those numbers will be updated, because it was supposed to have been done started in 2020, but all of that got put on hold because of the pandemic and what have you. So just to highlight to take a look at your preliminary tax bill that you would have received and see what that assessed value is, to be able to extrapolate a number. Great. So moving on then, I think we have all the motions that we need on the budget at this point in time. It's going to come back for one final review on February 21st.
Through your worship, yes, it will. I will, as long as if there's no other changes or anything comes up that you think of, that you think will be being recommended, I will kind of put that complete budget package together for the next meeting. You know, it does take time because once I change one number, it changes every table. So I will put it all together for the next meeting, knowing that as far as we know, it is final, but knowing that obviously numbers can and always change. It's one of the challenges with budgets is it's an ever-moving number and target, and but I will update all the tables and bring that full package for the next council meeting.
Great, thank you for that, and thank you for your work. So, moving on, item 6.2, is it still 6.2? I guess it is still considered 6.2 on the agenda, right? Service delivery review status update, and that's over to our CIO, Ms. Arthurs. Over to you, Lana.
Through Madam Mayor. The recommendation on the report is that CAO 2023-05, report dated February 7th, 2023, regarding a service delivery review status update be received, and that staff provide quarterly updates to council on the progress of the recommendations and initiatives identified in the Township of Douro-Dummer service delivery and operational review. Just a bit of background, this document was completed just prior to my arrival. There was a committee established at that time with a council member appointed to the committee as chair. We had meetings, we went through the recommendations. It was a great document actually when I arrived, because it certainly gave me a path. At this point, we have done significant work. All the departments, and you can see through the chart there, have accomplished quite a bit. Most things either are completed or we're working through, with the odd one that, you know, as we went through the process, determined that maybe wasn't appropriate at this time. So I don't feel now that we necessarily need a member of council. We're moving forward with staff, and I think we can come back quarterly and provide you guys with an update to ensure that we're continuing to go through it. I know our committee of the whole meeting coming up, we're going to be talking about our strategic plan, so we thought it was timely to bring this now so that you have an overview of what staff have been doing, and therefore we can set the path moving forward.
Great, thank you for that. Any questions from the council on that? Councilor Wood?
I'll make a motion to receive.
That's moved, seconded by Councilor Watt. Discussion? All in favor? That carries. On to item 6.3, we have a proposed telecommunication tower, and that's coming from our acting clerk, Martina.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. So the recommendation that's before council today is that the clerk's report 2023-02 dated February 7, 2023, regarding a proposed communication tower known as C8697 Brookwood be received, and that the Township of Douro-Dummer concur with the proposal by Rogers Communication Inc. to erect a wireless communication tower on the lands known as 556 Fifth Line Road, South Dummer, Douro-Dummer, is fully compliant with the township's opinion with respect to the stipulation proponent's duties of consultation in accordance with the requirements of the local protocol policy D4 protocol for radio and telecommunication facilities, section 4 exemptions, and as such the proponent's obligations have been satisfactorily addressed. So for those members of council who are new, the township has a policy regarding telecommunication towers and cell phone towers. And as part of that policy, we do have an exemption built in. So if a project is being, it's a public-private partnership, or it's being funded through EORNs or the CellGap project or the 1 gig project, there's an exemption that the proponent can access so they can skip the more intensive public consultation process. Those public partnerships are part of the Eastern Ontario Network, which we provide funding to through the County of Peterborough, and that's what is bringing additional service to our township. One of the things in our service delivery review and through past strategic plans has been the increase of service to our community, and so this is one way that we can achieve those goals. Because we are not able to build the towers ourselves, this is how we can assist those towers to be built in our community.
Thank you for that. Councilor Ward?
Motion to receive.
Anyone want to second that? Is it just receive or receive and approve?
It's receive and approve, so the recommendation is stated.
Yeah. Deputy Mayor Johnson? This is great. You know, I think a lot of this work is really been the cumulative work from Eorn and our former mayor and Warden Jim Jones and that whole group to be able to help create more access. So thanks to all that foundation work that's been done up until this point. It's great. It's great to see that this is happening, moving forward, and giving more access to communication to residents, not just in the township, but beyond. With that, I'll call a vote. All in favor? That motion carries. Moving on to 7.1, committee adjustment meeting. We have some minutes from February of 2022. Now, I understand these are dated back because of the quasi judicial, is that the right word? Committees of adjustment, the drafts have to be approved, and they hadn't actually had an official committee of adjustment meeting until recently to be able to approve those minutes from February 2022. Do we do one motion on all these, or?
No, if they could be done separately.
They could be done separately. Okay, so could we get a motion on the minutes? Anybody else? Council report, all in favor? That carries. And we also have the planning committee minutes of January 13th of this year. Motion to receive approved. Councilor Watt, Deputy Mayor Nelson, all in favor, and that also carries.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just to alert council, this will be the last set of planning committee minutes you will receive going forward. At the first council meeting we had there in January, our planner, Christine Coulter, had brought forward a report to disband the planning committee and give those powers to staff so that we could move consent applications through the process, severance applications through the process much quicker for applicants, and that if there were any applications that needed or were controversial or needed additional consultation, those would be brought to council for discussions, just so you know how things will move forward.
Okay, thank you for that. Moving on to bylaws. Martina, I will throw over the floor to you just to walk us through the two different bylaws that are before us.
Very good. So the first bylaw that is before you is 2023-07. This is to appoint livestock investigators for the township and to repeal the existing bylaw. The township has to have livestock investigators for the Ontario, oh gosh, I can't remember the program's name, but it's a program through the provincial government that provides compensation to livestock producers if there's a predator attack on their farm, so a coyote, bear, etc. If that harms their flock of chickens or their sheep or their pigs, cows, etc., the province will compensate them if they submit their claim through this program. And then the township or the municipality is the party that actually goes out and does the investigation and submits the paperwork to the province. So in the past, we've hired local farmers to do this type of work for us. The folks that we had doing it before have all retired. We found it quite a struggle to find other people to replace them because the fees are quite low and it's it can be an onerous task if you have to drive out there. And so turns out, one of our new staff members, Shane, in the building department, actually provided this service at a past employer that he was with. And so we thought this was a great opportunity to just bring this in-house so it can be dealt with faster. They're already out doing inspections, so it can be added to the inspection schedule. And then we save some contract costs and mileage. So that's what this bylaw is all about. And then the other bylaw we have is the 2023-08. It provides the user fees and charges. So council had heard that report and made a resolution at the meeting on Tuesday night to receive the bylaw and approve it at the right time. We never got to the right time, so it's back here today for you.
Great.
Move to possible bylaws.
Councilor Watt will move that, seconded by Councilor Report. All in favor? That carries. No reports, no notices of motion. Any announcements from council? We have no closed session. So could I get a motion for the confirming bylaw, please? Councilor Report, Deputy Mayor Nelson, all in favor? That carries. And just make note of our next meeting. We have committee of the whole Tuesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day at 10 o'clock. Regular council meeting the following Tuesday, the 21st. And the short-term rental committee will be having their first meeting on February 22nd. And finally, motion to adjourn? No? Yeah, okay. Councilor Report, seconded. Councilor Watt, all in favor? And that carries.
Perfect.
Thank you everyone for your
everyone.
time.
Thank you.